together with Muhammadiyah University, together with the National Youth Council of Indonesia, and together with the Oic Youth Indonesia, right now we are organizing model Oic simulation program in another university, in Muhammadiyah University, parallel with this panel session within the Oic cultural activities, on the margins of the Oic cultural activities. And another, our event is this panel session that I am representing my institution. Another activity of Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, which is held on the margins of this great event, which is ICVF booth that briefs all ICVF activities, flagship activities that can engage youth from all the world. I am very delighted to be here today in this gathering to discuss one of the most pressing issues of our time, new cultural challenges in the face of globalization. As I would like to thank the organizers to be a part of this incredible and valuable event. First and foremost, let me share my heartfelt gratitude to the Republic of Indonesia for hosting such an event, especially the Ministry of Youth and Sport. As I would like also to extend my appreciation to the OIC General Secretariat, as well as the Islamic University, Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris, for planning, executing this program, and dedicating the exceptional effort to make this program achieved and on the ground successfully. Globalization has brought our world closer together, enabling us to connect and to interact with individuals from different backgrounds like never before. As our world continues to grow increasingly interconnected, the ongoing process of globalization must dominate the manifestations of our lives. As one of these aspects, globalization has a profound impact on culture, influencing its dynamics, expressions, and interactions in various ways. Ladies and gentlemen, globalization has been a broad gate for exchange of Islamic culture, facilitating its widespread and enabling Muslims worldwide to engage with one another, share their beliefs, and express their cultural practices. Through advancements in communication technology, Muslims are now more interconnected than ever before, transcending geographical boundaries and sharing their experiences, traditions, and knowledge. This newfound connectivity offers a platform for fostering unity, dialogue, and understanding among diverse Muslim communities globally. However, it is worth pointing out that with this rapid exchange of cultures, the youth generation, who embody a crucial and vibrant segment of our community, experienced a profound influence from the new cultural challenges and globalizations, which impacted them significantly due to their exposure to diverse forms of this tangible influence. These challenges evidently appear in multi-layered manners of cultural identity, cross-cultural communication, and cultural homogenization. Addressing these challenges requires a multifaceted approach involving education, intercultural dialogue, and youth empowerment. In this context, the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, which I represent now in front of you, and which is the affiliate institution to the OIC, mandated to handle the youth issues, recognizes the importance of Islamic culture and heritage within the OIC member states and beyond, through different activities providing platforms for youth voices, promoting cultural exchange programs, and nurturing intercultural competencies to ensure that young people thrive in the face of these new cultural challenges. Besides, Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum activities aim at highlighting the importance of these values within rich cultures in different geographical regions. The Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum organizes a range of glowing and diverse annual activities in the field of culture and mutual understanding among young people across the Islamic world. A few examples of what ICYF does. ICYF organizes cultural exchange programs that bring together young Muslims from different countries. These programs provide a platform for participants to showcase their cultural heritage, traditions, and values, fostering mutual understanding and appreciation among the diverse Muslim communities. The second one, arts and cultural festivals. Under the framework of the OIC Youth Capital, which is the flagship program, ICYF arrange annually the mega arts and cultural festivals that celebrate the rich cultural diversity within the Muslim world. These festivals feature various artistic performances, exhibitions, and workshops that highlight traditional art, activities, conferences, festivals, and other special events according to the interest and benefits of Muslim youth. The third one, youth empowerment and skill development programs. ICYF regularly conducts diverse contests and competitions to empower young Muslims in cultural fields. These activities focus on enhancing skills related to the Islamic heritage preservation and protection. ICYF aims to empower them to actively contribute to the preservation and promotion of their cultural heritage and encourage. ICYF encourages Muslim youth to represent the beauty and depths of Islamic legacies using creativity and imagination by exhibiting the salient features and virtues of Islamic heritage and its role in developing civilization. In conclusion, as ICYF, we strongly believe that the cultural activities we engage in play a vital role in strengthening the cultural bonds among Muslim youth and raising their awareness towards shaping their identities, unity, and solidarity within the diverse Muslim world. Our journey to explore, promote, and preserve our cultural heritage never ends. Let's remember that our diversity is our strength. To continue implementing such cultural activities, we remain powerful to enhance peace, build bridges, and build a harmonious society where individuals from different backgrounds come together, united in their shared humanity. Together, collaborating side by side, let's continue to rejoice in the traditions that fill us with pride, raise awareness, and contribute to a world where cultural diversity is respected and celebrated by all. Our cooperation endeavors enable us to learn from one another, to grow together, and to create a lasting impact on the world around us. Once again, I would like to thank all the organizers behind this work, with no exception, for the outstanding implementation of this great event. Thank you very much, dear moderator, and I believe that through this, my in advance prepared speech, I could brief a little bit about the ICYF activities related to the subject of this panel session.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellencies. Before we move on to the next panelist, saya mau mengingatkan lagi untuk teman-teman Uinsi Samarinda untuk tolong memberi atensi dan perhatian kalian kepada para panelis, mengingat mereka datang dari negara mereka masing-masing yang sangat amat jauh, jadi tolong hormati mereka dan kasih atensi dan benar-benar menggunakan waktu sejam ke depan untuk menyerap informasi yang sangat penting dan bermanfaat bagi kalian. Jadi tolong jangan mondar-mandir, tolong tetap stay di dalam ruangan ini, dan kalau ada teman-teman yang keluar tolong diundang lagi untuk bergabung bersama kami di dalam ruangan ini. Next kepada Pak Esa, pertanyaannya tetap sama. What are some best practices from your organization or from Kemenpora that can be shared with other OIC member states to promote cultural diversity and harmony within our society?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin arrahmanirrahim maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Mr. Hendra Wicaksono, please stand up, sir. Yes. Big applause for him. Mr. Hendro is Deputy Assistant for Entrepreneurship. Asisten Deputi tentang kewirausahaan. So for all of you here, the students of Uinsi, if you like to say something to us something regarding of the entrepreneurship, please just ask him. Okay? This is one of the legacy from Ministry of Youth and Sports. Why? Because I said before that if you like to say something, to do something in terms of entrepreneurship, please ask him. Ada permodalan dan seterusnya, tanya dia gitu ya. Thank you, Ms. Alia Laksono, as a staff of our minister. Regarding your question to me, but what is actually the best practices in terms of this kind of event, this type of event, in order to achieve the competency of youth, including students in Indonesia and something like that. Firstly, I'd like to say that based on what I said before, wa ta'awanu 'alal birri wat taqwa wala ta'amanu 'alal itsmi wal 'udwan. That's from Allah. From Allah. It means that everything you do here in the world because of Allah, everything because of Allah. That's why if in relation to what Ms. Alia asked before, how about the best practices and also our what was this, something like a legacy. Just several minutes ago, we are the witnesses of the signing of MOU. Saya cek lagi ya nama perguruan tingginya. The MOU between Uinsi and Islamic University of Technology. And the second one, the MOU between Director of Uinsi, Samarinda, with Islamic University in Uganda. This is the two things that very, very important. They are the students. Why very important? This is a legacy of His Excellency our Rector, Pak Muhammad. Ya, jadi Anda punya rektor yang luar biasa. This is a big opportunity for you to have your opportunity to implement this kind of MOU. As Mr. Rector before said that if the opportunity come up with you, not just for lecturer, but also for you as students, please prepare your passport. Please prepare your idea in order to implement this kind of MOU. Siap-siap pergi ke dua negara tersebut. Please prepare yourself. It will have a good idea, good proposal in terms of this kind of MOU. That's to prove that you are our future in Indonesia and also the OIC member states. Itu ya, ada dua hal itu yang perlu nanti ditindaklanjuti. The last things that I'd like to say here on this session, maksudnya pada sesi yang ini nanti kan ada pertanyaan berikutnya. I'd like also to say about the other opportunity. formerly, Ministry of Youth and Sports have a good relationship with some countries, Canada, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, Korea, India. What for? We have youth exchange program. Again, we have youth exchange program. And now, we come up with the, inshallah, the new bilateral cooperation and also the new regional cooperation. For instance, with Brunei Darussalam, with Uganda, Turkey, Mozambique, Sudan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and something like that. OIC consists of 56, right? 56 member countries. It means that OIC is the biggest organization in the international organizations in the world after United Nations. It means that we have the big opportunity. Okay, I think that's all for the time being. To talking about the opportunity, the last what was the MOU that we have, inshallah, with Uganda at university and also university in Bangladesh. The technology, this is a very important one for you to improve your ability in terms of technology, competence, some skill, and something like that. Also with some lecturer and also a good experience in Uganda. I think that's all for the time being. Mr. Beautiful Moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak
Yes.
Esa. Next, to His Excellency Yasir Muhammad Ali. Same question, best practices from your countries that can be shared with other OIC member states to promote cultural diversity and harmony within your society.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah al-Amin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, let me start by thanking our sister Alia and our brother Rasul from the Ministry of Youth and Sport and our brother from the OIC for this wonderful moment for us to be here in this beautiful city of Samarinda, which reminds me by Khartoum, the capital city of Sudan, when we saw this, the mighty river Makakam, if I pronounce it rightly. So as the river Nile also passes through Khartoum, so this river Makakam is a resemblance of geographic, bringing these two cities together, despite the fact that Sudan and Indonesia are far from each other. There are a lot of cultural relations, I should say this as a background, between the two countries. Indonesia is a huge country with a huge cultural diversity and ethnic diversity. Sudan is also more or less considered about the largest country in Africa with huge cultural diversities. But what we feel here, the 5 pillars of Indonesia, which has established by your founding father, has done a lot, as we have seen in different places where I visited, how the peaceful coexistence between different minorities and different ethnical groups is going on for the development of these great nations. I would like also to thank our brothers in the OIC for this huge effort they're doing it for the, the cultural bridging, for cultural intercourse worldwide. which I think it is emanated from the ayah of Quran that's إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. Allah has created us, people and tribes to know each other. Knowing each other, that means to understand each other. How can we understand each other? The cultural discourse and cultural interaction is a bridge and tool for that. So, on the other hand, when we compare this perspective of Islamic cultural exchange with the Western perspective, which is very unfortunate, most of the Western countries of previous colonial background, they always come with a feeling of cultural supremacy, and they feel that the culture is the culture that should prevail worldwide. That's why most of the problems, political problems, and the wars that took place in many countries, in many regions around the world, due to the cultural gap, and even the recent war which is going on in Ukraine, for example, it is due to the lack of cultural intercourse between the Ukraine and the Russians. There are certain minorities with cultural identities are supposed to be recognized and to be given the rights to have a peaceful coexistence. So when this does not exist, then always political problems erupt. What we see here in Indonesia, I should say, alhamdulillah, we are so proud of that. The harmony, despite the heterogeneity of the society, has reflected in political stability and economic development, which we really in Sudan would like to embrace that. Sudan is comprises of hundreds of tribes, several ethnicities, several religions, but due to several factors, and I should say also some of our elites were not successful enough to build this kind of cultural dialogue and peaceful coexistence. Part of Sudan has separated, as we all know, the southern Sudan, become an independent country due to basically cultural differences. So here, there are a lot of features to be emulated from the Indonesian experience. This is an area where we are really focusing to cooperate with you, especially in the Ministry of Youth and Sport. As you mentioned, that there are a lot of programs for cultural cooperations between different countries of OIC. That will be a great opportunity for us. I should mention also that we have a lot of programs of cultural exchange for Indonesian students in Sudan, as Sudan has one of the most prestigious universities in Africa, Africa International University, where we have thousands of students from Indonesia studying in Sudan. Among them, a famous scholar, Sheikh Abdul Samad, who did he's a very famous, I think, orator in Indonesia. He did his PhD from Sudan, and he's very famous. So we hope that we will make a sort of arrangement between some of our universities and this university, inshallah, in the near future. So from this perspective, I'd like to end my remark that we're looking forward for a closer cooperation among ourselves and our countries, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Ambassador of Nigeria, same question.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We give thanks and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making it possible for us to be here today. Now, we don't have much time, but next time for this type of occasion, we should be given time to actually make serious presentation as to impact knowledge also. But within the 5 minutes, we are gathered here under a theme that is called Embracing Diversity. I'm not an Englishman, but embrace could mean to enter, to accept, really, if you look at creation as a whole, it was based on diversity. So we are not embracing, we are not accepting, we are not entering, but we have been born, created into diversity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made even his prophets from the Jews, from the Arabs, and so many. And then he also capped it all by saying, he has created us, we mankind, into tribes and nations and whatever, that we may live together, understand our diversities, and live as one. That is for us that are human beings. Then even living on earth here, he said he has created men and jinn that we don't see, but they see us. Yes, Islam teaches us how to live with jinns that we do not see. As Muslims, at least you all know what I'm saying. I don't need to go into that. So we don't see them, but we are asked to respect their rights. Therefore, diversity is our creation. Even this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that created us, he said, we and jinns are created here to serve him. But how do we serve him? We must know him. How do we know him? We must acquire knowledge of God, knowledge of Islam, to know God and serve him. Then, the Prophet ﷺ emphasized knowledge, because it's the first thing that as a Muslim you are supposed to have. You must have knowledge, knowledge of God and how to serve him. Then he said, because we are created here on earth, we have environmental challenges, we need to eat food, we need to develop houses and whatever. He said we shall acquire any kind of knowledge that is beneficial to us, that will benefit us here and lead us into a better life hereafter. In those days of the Prophet, I think China was seen like almost an end of the world. So he emphasized in a hadith, Ta'alamu ilma hatta walau kana fi Sina. Seek here knowledge, even if it's going to take you as far as China. So the position of knowledge in Islam cannot be equated to anything. We must acquire knowledge. Knowledge to make us know God and serve him. Knowledge to make us live with ourselves as good neighbors. As we know, you cannot be a complete Muslim if you do not like to your brother and neighbor what you like unto yourselves. So the question of this word embrace for me is just to say, okay, we are into this, and constantly we need to refresh and remind ourselves that we are created in different tribes and countries, but we must recognize that and live as one. Now, in the context in which we are saying that let's embrace it, I think it's in global relationship, because we have the Islamic civilization versus other civilizations. And Muslims are being confronted with series of challenges from other civilizations, which are trying to woo Muslims to embrace that civilization and leave our own civilization. And that is where the crux of the problem is. And then this type of conferences, and importantly acquiring knowledge, will help us understand ourselves, know where we are coming from, and know where we are going. And because we have numbers, we have knowledge, we need to know ourselves, pull our resources together, and build today and build our leaders of tomorrow, which are the young children that are here and those that will be born later. Even in we as men and women, God has decided to show us examples. He first created Adam. No doubt about that. That is Adam as the first human being was created. And when he decided he was going to live here, Adam cannot live alone. Then he did not create another Salihu, but what he did was he created a woman. What it means, therefore, is that it's only a man and a woman that can always stay together. That is what God has said to us. He created me as a man, and he created a woman to come and serve as my companion, my partner, my friend, my wife. And from there, Adam and Hawa brought all of us out into all the tribes and nations and whatever. So diversity is not new for Islam. Our concern will now be that today, the social media, name it, whether artificial intelligence, whether it's what, other things are coming that are challenging the Islamic civilization. It is where, therefore, we have to position ourselves, acquire knowledge, because we have to be knowledgeable to be able to decipher where we are being led astray and take a U-turn and making sure that, so, not naturally, no man wants a woman to, for instance, in the hospital. If it's a man that is going to treat you as a man, you are more comfortable. If it's a woman that's going to treat you, she's more comfortable. But how do we do that to ensure that we have this type of, we must acquire knowledge. It is in that context that all the things we are reading, and it's been said to us, read it. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something. There's no knowledge we are getting new. He has made everything available. He said, but we can go into the heavens and the earth to acquire whatever knowledge. The only thing I expect of us is to say, Alhamdulillah, this is made possible by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, there is nothing new that anybody is going to bring that should pose a challenge to Muslims. Why Islamophobia? Islamophobia for what? Fear of Islam? Because we are doing good, we have a unique etiquette, we have a unique characteristic, we have a unique leadership style, which has become subject of envy, and therefore other civilizations are trying to destroy it. Through subtle approach and through deliberate, which we must get this knowledge in order to understand and then take necessary steps. After all, what knowledge is new? The knowledge of chemistry and others, if you read into history, were even done by Muslim scientists. So science, technology is not new. Even as recently as you will call it, the first thing you call this degree, all of us are calling degree, was first started and issued in Morocco by a woman. So what is it that Muslims are afraid of? Already we need to face this challenge, acquire education, acquire knowledge, and live with our neighbors with understanding, just like the prophet did it. He did it. You remember two incidents. He had a neighbor who was a Jew, who always sweep, pack all the rubbish and put in his house. He will come and pack it and never said anything to the man. Until when he didn't see those again, he tried to find out what is happening. This is my neighbor. He discovered the man was sick. Entered to go and say hello to him. Sorry, may God heal you. And the man seeing that, is it this man that I'm provoking every day that has come to say, sorry, hello, how are you? And at the end, you know what happened. You also must know that there was an unbeliever who went to the mosque to started urinating. When all the Sahaba were trying, he said, no, stop, allow him finish. When he finished, okay, take water, wash his urine, and then he told the man, this place is a place of worship, you don't urinate here. There is nothing the prophet has not taught us in living with our neighbors. But importantly, we should acquire knowledge, and when we acquire knowledge, we should use it. We should know the limit of our interaction with our neighbors, where we can reach, where we cannot reach. These challenges we are facing, they are real challenges. We must brace up for it. In this type of forum, educate ourselves to know our left from our right and where we are going. I will finalize my brief intro remarks with the saying in Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Alhamdulillah, we are Muslims and may we die as Muslims. Thank you.
Ambassador of Palestine, same question.
Thank you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أفضل المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلوات الله وسلام عليه. هذا الحبيب، هذا النبي العربي الذي أدى الرسالة وقبل أن ينهي رسالته زار فلسطين، الذي أسرى من الحرم إلى الأقصى. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلاً من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله. هذه الأرض, this is the land for peace. This is the Holy Land, Palestine. Our brother, when he kept Palestine till the end, and he gave his remarks to welcome the Palestinian ambassador. Always end is the sweet. Everybody is loving sweet, and Palestine is really sweet for everyone. Al-Kunafa, Al-Baklawa, the famous sweet in Palestine, which is spreading all over the world. Our brothers, sisters, I'm not going to give long speech. I have my remarks, but I will give it to our sister to be delivered for the students. But the message of Islam in all areas is very important. The cultural activities whom we are talking now, about education, about sport, about youth, about Islamic cooperation, this is very essential and very important. Palestine, it's a part of this global, but Palestine is still suffering because of the occupation. Islam and Islamic countries were there in this area. Why they are keeping Palestine alone on the ground, while the message of God, we have to be one hand and one voice and one activity. Once we have reached for that, we have achieved our goals, we have built our confidence. This is Islam. This is Islam, and everybody knows who's a Christian, who's others. Islam is the end to cover all. So, Excellency, ambassadors, brothers, we have to pray. We have to pray and to make our voice loudly for a free Palestine. For a free Palestine, once this land, I don't want to speak my remarks in Arabic, but Palestine, it's Ardul Mahshari wal Manshar. Who can understand Arabic? What's the meaning of Ardul Mahshari wal Manshar? It means all community all over the world will be on that land, and they will go their souls to the God. This is the small country, the main important place all over the world. Anyhow, Excellency, our topic, our activities is very important today. I hope that we will reach and will be succeeded more and more. With full of thanks for Indonesia from my heart. We know Indonesian, how they are loving Palestinian and how they are working for Palestine because they believe that what does it mean freedom? Islam is working for everybody to be free. In the end, again, full of thanks for everybody, for participants, for our brothers and sisters from the university, students, wishing all of them successful, and hopefully the day will come, everybody will visit Palestine and will pray in Al-Aqsa, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much. So from all 6 panelists, I think we can all collectively agree that it is very important to implement the mindset of equality and to celebrate differences regardless of differences in our cultures and our backgrounds and religions, and such that we can all live in peace and harmony, and that it's important to acquire knowledge through education, both formal and informal, to learn more about each other, because if we don't learn about each other, we will not know about each other, and it will be difficult to love one another. In Indonesia, the saying is, tak kenal maka tak sayang. So it's important for us to know about each other, know about ourselves, and learn more about one another in order to mutually respect one another, such that we can work together to increase peace within our societies. So the next question for Pa Esa, could you share some successful initiatives or programs that have been implemented in Indonesia to enhance cultural understanding and harmony among its diverse population?
Again, this is the second questions. And also, I'd like to invite Mr. Imam Gunawan to stand up, please. Pak Imam, please stand up. Big applause. Pak Imam Gunawan, thanks for coming here because it's related to the what Miss Alia asked before, talking about what is the potential. The potential. Okay. Yeah, what is actually the program that is successful conducted in Indonesia in order to achieve the harmony among member states in OIC and also among 34 provinces, and right now we have 38 provinces in Indonesia. Why I asked Mr. Imam to stand up here, because formerly he was a deputy assistant for entrepreneurship at Ministry of Youth and Sports. I mentioned previously that Mr. Hendro Wicaksono, he is deputy assistant for entrepreneurship. So we have here 2 gentlemen, the former one is Mr. Imam Gunawan and Mr. Hendro Wicaksono. Jadi teman-teman sekalian, para mahasiswa, please be aware for a kind of entrepreneurship. Like I said before, that one of the best practices in terms of youth development in Indonesia is what we call entrepreneur. Miss Alia, in Indonesia we have the constitution, the regulation of youth development, signed in 2009, and it contains 3 kind of services for youth development. The first one is awareness. The second one is empowerment. And the third one is development. Entrepreneurship, I repeat, entrepreneurship is one thing of youth development. So, what is actually the others that it should be mentioned here? It is good a question that we're talking about the voluntary, Ms. Alia. Voluntary is the other things that we should improve in terms of youth development in the world. Through voluntary, you as a young people, in the future, we need you to make a good brotherhood relationship with among young people or youth at every single OIC member states. So I just to say that the first one is about entrepreneurship, the second one about voluntary. The other things of Indonesia, as our delegates from other countries know, yesterday, through what we call unity in diversity. Unity in diversity. In Indonesia, we call that Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. Just yesterday, we have seen the video talking about the relationship between Muslim and Buddhism. And several days ago, the delegates from other member states came up with the fact that also we have seen the community at Istiqlal Mosque with the community of church, the church in Jakarta, what we call cathedral. We have a tunnel. What that means? It not need about the building, about the tunnel, but it is a good spirit in Indonesia, whether we have different religion, Muslim and Christian, like several days ago, our delegation from member state can saw that the fact. But yesterday also, Muslim community here in Samarinda at Buddhist center, we can see the video. There was an accident in Lombok. There was an earthquake, but the gentleman from Buddhism helped the gentleman from Muslim to do wudu before prayer. This is talking about the fact, not just narrative, not just theoretical, but in practical practice, in practices. As we know that Indonesia is a big country. If you fly from west part to east part of Indonesia, it needs more than 6 hours by flight. It means that Indonesia is a big country. But Alhamdulillah, because of Allah, up to today, we can help among others, sharing and caring. Ideology is, we have different kind of religion. Now, the last thing, Ms. Alia, talking about the youth development in Indonesia. We, in the future, like I mentioned before, Pak Imam tadi belum datang. Tadi saya jelaskan, I mentioned previously that we have formally youth exchange with some countries, like Malaysia, India, Canada, Australia, and something like that. But in the future, how about if we have also a good exchange with another OIC member states? Egypt, Uganda, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sudan, and Palestinian. Big applause for Palestine. Big applause for Palestine. Big applause for Palestine. Don't forget that one. what is actually the background, historical background of OIC because of Palestinian? Yes, everything based on Allah. But Allah say that we have to think perfectly with our smart brain. Palestinian is our brother. So it means that don't forget this matter. Hopefully, inshallah, Palestine will have the freedom, right? Inshallah. That's why the students here, as a young generation, based on our best practice in Indonesia, what we call unity in diversity, Indonesia has more than 300 tribes with 1,000 islands. But Alhamdulillah, our nation is still Indonesia. Because Indonesia, Mbak Alia, you are aware about this one, we have youth pledge in 1928. Youth pledge, Sumpah Pemuda. Before our independence declared in 1945, 17 years before that one, the young people around at that time, at our land here, has a good spirit, one nation, what you call Indonesia. That's why we come here to have a good spirit based on our best practices long time ago. And this one is come up with you, up to you, the students. After myself, for instance, pass away, okay? Please continue the good spirit in order to embrace and to increase the sharing and caring, something like that, because of the culture. Our Ambassador Tariq yesterday said that at firstly, at OIC, the perspective of political, it's okay. But after that, we realized that not just political perspective, culture perspective, singing together, learning among others, and also education, inshallah, it will be a good perspective to have the good relationship among OIC member states through youth movement. I think that's all.
Thank you, Pak Esa. So there are a lot of programs in Indonesia, especially in our ministry, that's devoted to promote cultural harmony and diversity, such as the youth exchange programs, awareness programs, empowerment programs, and especially volunteering programs. Mungkin teman-teman yang di Uinsi Samarinda sini kalau ada yang mau daftar atau mengikuti program-program dari kita itu bisa banget ya Pak ya, silakan banget. Nanti bisa berbicara sama Pak Esa atau sama astep-astep yang hadir. Next question to His Excellency Rasul Omarov. As the Director General of the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, how can young people play a vital role in promoting cultural diversity and harmony within the Islamic world?
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. So I think in my speech, I a little bit touched this issue, but here I would like to a little bit brief about the ICYF's 7 pillars, which is that I think they cover your question. So Islamic Cooperation Youth Forums carries out several youth-focused initiatives throughout its member states under the organization's 7 pillars, which serve as a compass to guide its activities and projects. These pillars align perfectly with the OIC Youth strategy, as well as the SDGs, which aim to make the world a better place for young people, irrespective of their backgrounds. So the culture, the OIC region the culture is one of these pillars. The OIC region is home to rich and diverse cultures stretching thousands of years. Our shared Muslim culture unites us, regardless as one ummah, to serve a common purpose and to help each other in our pursuit to make our communities hospitable to young and fresh ideas created by our youth. Networking is one of the other pillars, as I5 acts as a bridge between cultures and civilizations through numerous initiatives aimed at widening the networks of the Muslim youth. The forum has managed to connect thousands of youth from across the Oic region and in Muslim minority states by promoting collaboration and fostering unity within the Ummah. Environment. I5 promotes sustainability and harmony with nature. As the youth, we must take care of nature, which will, in turn, take care of us. Raising global temperatures and natural climates are an alarm and a call for us to use resources responsibly and take good care of the environment. Under the environment pillar, the Design Post-COVID Humanity, HID, and the Dhaka Oic Youth Capital were conducted. Artistic expression is embedded in our pillars, and as ICYF, we support creativity and those who make ideas come alive. Under art, ICYF conducted the Dhaka Oic Youth Capital Film Contest, Dhaka Oic Youth Capital Bangabando Youth Art Competition, and the Doha Oic Youth Capital Short Film, Photography, and Visual Arts Contest. Youth development. Development of the youth is crucial as the development of any economy. Investing in the youth and their education is the most significant investment and any community that seeks prosperity can make. Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum's engagement with youth from diverse backgrounds and critical players in youth development aims to provide more opportunities for the youth to develop themselves and prosper. Economic empowerment. There has never been a better time for technological innovation. As the world embraces intelligent and sustainable technology, there is a tremendous demand for not just consumption of this innovation, but its production in the Oic geography. Under this pillar, ICYF conducted the Azerbaijan Investment and Culture Summit, Takeoff Istanbul Startup Summit, Bahrain Startup Summit, Young Business Hub Entrepreneurship Investment Summit, Dhaka Entrepreneurship Skills Employment Camp, OIC High-Level Public and Private Investment Conference, and the Young Women Entrepreneurs as drives of SDGs programs. Social awareness. Social awareness is vital for the youth, especially in the wake of extremism and misinformation on digital platforms. The youth in the OIC region have to be aware and active in the fact-changing process and not just be passive consumers of news and information. The call for youth global action on Islamophobia, youth engagement with religion and faith, Dhaka Sheikh Hasina Youth Voluntary Awards, East Mediterranean webinars, essay competition on artificial intelligence, Baku International Volunteers Forum of Islamic Countries, Doha Humanitarian and Volunteer Themed Youth Camp, and the online volunteering programs were conducted under the social awareness pillar by ICYF. So, dear speakers and dear participants, using this opportunity, I would like just to share the very small information with our young people, especially from this beautiful country, Indonesia.
Okay.
So just we announced as ICYF the 5th edition of the ICYF International Young Volunteers Camp, which is going to take place in Antalya, Turkey, from the 4th to the 9th October of this year for young men, and from the 11th to the 16th of October for young women. This year, the camp aims to raise awareness of the current humanitarian crisis in the Oic geography and empower young volunteers to respond to this crisis and be actively involved in the recovery process through theoretical sessions, practical sessions, and workshops. The 6-day camp also aims to instill essential values in the youth, such as selflessness, hard work, and teamwork to aid in our capacity and community building efforts. So, to participate in this volunteering camp, the call for application is open and the deadline is 31st July. So I appeal our honorable youth, young people who participate here right now together with us, to use this opportunity and to apply for the participation in this event, which is funded by the organizers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rasul Omarov. To His Excellency Zuhair Al-Shun, in the context of Palestine, how can cultural diversity be celebrated and leveraged as a tool for building bridges and fostering peace among different communities? Yeah, for Palestine. Yeah, for Palestine. Yeah. In the context of Palestine, how can cultural diversity be celebrated and leveraged as a tool for building bridges and fostering peace among different communities?
Thank you. What I believe that, number one, establishing comprehensive legislation and policies that protect and promote culture, ensuring equal rights and opportunities for all citizens, regardless of their culture or religious backgrounds. And then granting multicultural and interfaith education into school, circular, promoting tolerance, understanding, and respect for diversity from any early age, encouraging cultural exchange programs, interfaith dialogues, and community initiatives that foster mutual understanding. Also, encouraging diverse representation in decision-making process, including minority communities in political, social, and economic spheres, promoting equal access, employment, healthcare, and public services for all citizens. By celebrating and leveraging cultural diversity, Palestine can create platform for dialogue, understanding, and mutual respect among different communities. Cultural initiatives can serve and bridge to connect people, break down stereotypes, and promote peaceful existence in the pursuit of just and lasting peace. This is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have one last question because we're running out of time and we have another panel. To His Excellency Yasir Muhammad Ali, Sudan has a rich cultural heritage, And how has Sudan utilized its cultural diversity to strengthen social cohesion and promote unity among its people?
Thank you very much. I think our brothers in the OIC and you in the ministry are doing tremendous efforts to create a sort of intercultural dialogue and a peaceful coexistence between different cultures. This has been said in hadith in one word. Our Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-din al-mu'amala." The whole deen is in one word, mu'amala. So mu'amala means three pillars: fairness, respect, and love. So imagine, let's imagine in the whole world, in Sudan or in Indonesia or the whole different culture of the world, if each culture based on respect to the other culture and based on fairness, but the ultra part of it is love. But if we talk about fairness and respect, that means the world will be without war. There won't be any environmental problems, there won't be any sort of difficulties, there won't be very poor people. So I believe that what we have been supposed to propagate among ourselves as Muslims and as true nationalists in our countries, consider less our religion, is to start from these three pillars, which has been comprised in one word, ad-din al-mu'amala. In Sudan, like Indonesia, it has a lot of difficulties due to our cultural heritage and to a large extent the heterogeneity of this culture. So we hope that we reach a stage where this diversity will become a source of strength for us, as our brother rightly mentioned. So the cultural diversity and ethnical diversity should be a source of strength for the nation. But to a large extent also, it could be a source of weakness if it is not well managed. We hope that we still have a lot of aspiration and a lot of hope that, inshallah, things are going gradually, despite the difficulties and despite the foreign intervention in Sudan to sabotage this kind of cultural coexistence. We will reach a point where this different culture will be a source of strength for the unity of the country and for its development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Your Excellency. To wrap up today's high-level panel speech, I would like Pak Esa to have a closing statement before we wrap up this session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Alia. One word that it will be the key word of this kind of the discussion or high-level panel speeches is culture. Culture. It means that consists of many things. When we are talking about the culture, at the same time, we're talking about human being. Human being needs education, needs technology, science, language, dancing, and many things. So it means that through effective communication, collaboration, synergize, and something like that, what we call in Indonesia, gotong royong, inshallah, we will have a good spirits in order to have a good, same feeling. Constraint, we have egoism, but through musyawarah, through communication, through many things, then back to the keyword of culture, we can come up with the good ummah, inshallah. Thank you very much for youth here and for delegates, and also big applause for our moderator and also for the speaker address person here. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much Pak Esa. Mungkin teman-teman Uinsi Samarinda bisa kasih tepuk tangan sekali lagi untuk para panelis pada hari ini. Thank you so much Your Excellencies for the knowledge. Terima kasih Bapak-bapak yang duduk bersama saya di atas panggung ini. Semoga ilmu yang diberi dari mereka kepada teman-teman Uinsi Samarinda bermanfaat. Dan semoga ini bisa menjadi langkah awal untuk kerjasama Indonesia dan negara-negara Palestina, Sudan, Nigeria, Mozambik. Dan semoga kedepannya kita bisa terus bekerja sama dan bisa melakukan suatu kegiatan yang benar-benar berdampak dan berjangka panjang bagi pemuda-pemuda di negara-negara kami. Siapa tahu teman-teman di sini ada yang mau exchange program ke kampus-kampus yang ada di negara-negara ini. Semoga itu bisa menjadi suatu hal yang bisa direalisasikan di waktu yang akan datang. Sekali lagi terima kasih teman-teman Uinsi Samarinda, semoga masih semangat untuk mengikuti rangkaian kegiatan pada hari ini. Saya Alia Nur Ayu Laksono, pamit undur diri, sekali lagi mengucapkan terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for moderator and also all the speakers. Now we are going to give merchandise from Ministry of Youth and Sports Republic Indonesia to all the speakers. Kepada Bapak Tantan, kami mohon untuk dapat naik ke atas panggung untuk memberikan cenderamata kepada seluruh pembicara. Thank you very much for all the speakers and also the moderator. Thank you, and please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue the panel session, we are going to watch the greetings video from Coordinating Ministry for Human Development and Cultural Affairs.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, Ambassadors, OIC Secretariat General, OIC Member States Representatives and Institutions, Rector of UIN Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris Samarinda, distinguished delegates and guests, ladies and gentlemen. We gather here today on a very special activity organized by the Organization Islamic Cooperation under the theme Embracing Diversity and Harmony for the Brighter Future Society. In this auspicious opportunity, I would like to once again welcome all participants of this cultural weeks. Your presence here is a clear evidence of our commitment to champion diversity and harmony in a global society. We live in a globalized world where culture increasingly covers and intermingle with each other. We live in a globalized world where culture increasingly converge and intermingle with each other. People, and especially our youth, from the first day has to live, has to experience and grow up with diversity. People who live together have tolerate each other, because without tolerance, peace is not possible. Tolerance in the meaning of respect, acceptance, and appreciation of our rich diversity, our religions, our culture, our form of expression, and our unique ways to express ourselves, our special ways of being human. Ladies and gentlemen, tolerance in its true essence is our active attitude, our way of life, on the basis of recognition of the established human rights. Tolerance that makes peace possible is always guided by the very principle that we comes before I. International Cooperation Organization has adopted and embraced diversity, which is one of the most important key towards peaceful society. I heartfully support the importance of cultural and cultural diplomacy as means of compromise between our Muslim communities to foster bonds of friendship, mutual respect, and solidarity within OIC member states and institutions. From series of forming arts to cultural exhibition to inspiring discussion of OIC nations, I have high hopes that through the Organization Islamic Cooperation Culture Activity 2023, we will forge stronger connections, promote intercultural understanding, and build bridge for a better future. Together, we can create an inclusive, harmonious, and compassionate society, a place where every individual is valued regardless of cultural background, religions, race, or belief. Let's celebrate our diversity together and work towards a brighter future, where harmony and unity are the main pillars of our global society. Finally, on behalf of Coordinating Minister for Human Development and Culture Affairs, the organization Islamic Cooperation Culture Activity, or Oic-Ca 2023, is open. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Panel session with theme New Cultural Challenges and Globalization, delivered by the members of Organization Islamic Cooperation Cultural Activity, moderated by Mr. Safa and Mr. Susanto. The time's yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, this topic is a very interesting. We are currently entering the panel session with the theme New Cultural Challenges and Globalizations. Before coming to the main event of these panel sessions, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Safa
Ana Susanto.
Both of us, the lecturers of the State Islamic University of Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris Samarinda as the moderators. And we will guide the discussion today for approximately an hour with sequence of the speaker conveying their views on cultural activities. Then the discussion sessions will be held at the end of the agenda. We're looking at the sufficient time available. Now, the speakers are with us today. I respectfully invite the speakers to come on stage.
فها نحن اليوم قد حضر بين أيدينا المتحدثون المؤهلون. سأفيدكم أولا سعادة الدكتور الحسين رزي مدير الشؤون الثقافية في الأمانة العامة لمنظمة التعاون الإسلامي ندعو على سماحتكم ليتقدم. ثانيا السيد رسول أمروف مدير العام منتدى التعاون الإسلامي للشباب ندعو على سماحتكم ليتقدم. Sayyid Umaruf Thalithan Sayyidah Al-Fadilah Fahmida Faiza Raisa Qismit Tanmiyatil Bashariyah wa Tamkinil Ijtima'i Biqita'il Ulumil Ijtimaiyah wal Insaniyah nad'u ala samahatikum liyataqaddam. Rabi'an Al-Ustadz Ad-Duktur Abdul Fattah Kaziba Naib Rais Jamiah Islamiyah fi Uganda nadu ala samahatikum liyataqaddam. Khamisan Sa'adati Dr. Umar Jah Naib Rais Jamiah Islamiyah Teknologi Dhaka di Bangladesh nadu ala samahatikum liyataqaddam. Sadisan As-Sayyid Ad-Duktur Muhyiddin Al-Ustadz Al-Musaid fi Jamiatil Islamiyah Alamiyah Malaysia wa huwa al-Aminul Am li Hukumatis Syabab Afriki Asyawi nad'u ala samahatikum liyataqaddam.
Okay, thank you for occupying the position that has been provided. Sequentially, all the speakers will take around 5 to 7 minutes. We invite the speakers to convey their view on cultures. So the first opportunity, we respectfully to give to Dr. Hussein Razai as the Director of Cultural Affairs or OIC General Secretary. Time is yours.
Again, on behalf of the OIC, I would like to extend my warm greetings and thanks to the University of Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris for this great opportunity to be with this distinguished panelists on a topic of immense importance to all of us. When we talk about the cultural challenges and globalization, we basically touch upon some of the defining notions of our own existence. That is our identity, who we are, and what are the challenges facing us in this world.
When we talk about globalization, we talk also about a phenomenon that is at the heart of everything we do. Today, we are interconnected to the world. Everything we do can be seen and commented in different parts of the world. So this is why this issue is very important. I have prepared the PowerPoint presentation that I go over quite quickly to allow time for other panelists to present their views. So I will start with the notion that of the global village, which refers us basically to the globalized world where cultures, ideas, peoples, and different aspects of life have come to interconnect, interact, and turn into a dynamic interchange among the inhabitants of our Mother Earth. So I started with this to explain how globalization is a complex and transformative process that has significantly impacted people's lives, lifestyles, and local cultures worldwide. This phenomenon has indeed contributed to the increasing interconnectedness and integration of economies, cultures, and societies across the globe. So how did we come to this? The first factor that has contributed to globalization is basically a rapid advancement of technology, namely in two main fields, communication and transportation, which has made the world more interconnected than ever. The wide-reaching effects of the internet, social media, and mobile communication have eased the way people connect, share information, learn about different cultures, and engage in cross-cultural communications. So as a case in point is the holding of this event, which was preceded by multiple virtual events with our Indonesian friends, colleagues, and partners, which could not have taken place without the advancement in technology.
Welcome to the Deputy. Please have a seat, sir. This is our Deputy, Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Asrun Niam Soleh MA. Have a seat. Beliau adalah Deputi Bidang Pengembangan Pemuda Republik Indonesia.
So the second factor is related to the expansion of global media and entertainment industries, which has made it easier for cultures to come closer to each other and for cultural influences to find their ways across different cultural backgrounds. Movies, music, TV shows, and online platforms allow for the dissemination of cultural products and ideas across borders. A telling example is, for example, movies from Hollywood, Bollywood, and the impact of a movie that I have in mind, Ertugrul, which has left behind as it was translated to different languages, an immense impact in the Islamic world as it has touched upon the basic social, religious, and cultural values of ancient Turkish tribes. The third factor related to globalization concerns the easiness of travel and the accessibility of tourism to different layers of societies across the globe. So today, with the relative accessibility to different countries through tourism and cheap travel means, people can now go through different cultural experiences, like the one we experienced here in Indonesia with the Dayak people, for example, and learn from up close about others' ways of lives, beliefs, and cultures, and this has contributed to increased cultural exchanges and cross-cultural understanding. The fourth factor is linked basically to the continued growth of international trade, which stimulated by the liberalization of trade barriers and the opening of new markets and opportunities for corporations to operate globally, bringing with them their management and production skills, but also their human societal values as well. This being said, we can argue that while globalization has indeed promoted cross-cultural exchanges, it has also posed both challenges for the preservation of domestic and local cultures, and also opportunities for cultural understanding. Let's start then with the new cultural challenges related to globalization. The first challenge to my mind is cultural standardization or harmonization of culture. And this notion is related basically to the fact that dominant cultural influences can overshadow local cultures. Customs, languages, mindsets, and the way people see the world and see each other. As we have seen in many places across the world, the widespread of notions of consumerism, individualism, liberal agendas like feminism, human rights, and public freedoms, along with Western cultural norms, have resulted in identity crises and sometimes the loss of genuine cultural or traditional cultures. The second cultural challenge linked to globalization is Westernization. And no one can deny that Western culture has been dominant throughout its overriding media, fashion styles, food preferences, and lifestyle choices. Many societies of the Western world have adopted, have adopted Western norms and put aside traditional customs and values. This constitutes basically a real threat to indigenous cultures and their sustainability on the long run. The third cultural challenge is related to cultural erosion, as globalization and rapid modernization have resulted in the loss of indigenous knowledge, practices, local languages, and old ways of doing things. Traditional ways of community expressions, ancient crafts and arts, all traditions are facing serious challenges as the younger generation is leaning towards adopting Western styles. The easy flow of mass-produced goods led by strong global market forces have undermined local traditions or local traditional artisanal works and old skills and disrupted traditional livelihoods and long-standing cultural practices. This would certainly have negative impact on cultural sustainability. The fourth challenge is related to cultural conflicts and identity crisis. And here, the interaction between different cultures is normally seen as a positive phenomenon. Yet, we have to admit that as different cultures come into contact through globalization, cultural conflicts can arise. And the clash between traditional values and modern influences can create identity crises among individuals and communities, leading to social tensions and the loss of cultural cohesion. The fifth challenge is related to the lack of balance in power dynamics. And we mean by this that globalization might lead to a serious lack of balance in power between dominant and marginalized cultures. The cultural influence of economically and politically powerful nations can overshadow and marginalize the voices and perspectives of smaller or indigenous cultures. The sixth cultural challenge is related to the preservation of cultural heritage. Globalization, as you know, can place cultural heritage at a great danger as economic development, urbanization, and tourism demands can result in the overexploitation, overconstruction, and degradation, or even destruction of important cultural and historical landmarks. The seventh challenge is basically cultural appropriation. And here, again, globalization has given rise to issues of cultural appropriation where elements of a culture could be co-modified or borrowed without proper understanding of its value or respect of its significance. This can perpetuate stereotypes, exploit cultures, and marginalize indigenous communities. The eighth challenge or cultural challenge in its relation to globalization is the loss of cultural autonomy, as globalization can challenge the autonomy of local cultures and communities. In fact, external influences may shape cultural practices and priorities, diluting or overshadowing local values, customs, and decision-making processes. Given these serious challenges to culture, it has become primordial to face the negative impacts of globalization by promoting cultural diversity, encouraging the preservation of local traditions, and fostering mutual respect and understanding among different cultures. Balancing the benefits of globalization with the preservation of cultural heritage is essential for creating a more inclusive and culturally sustainable future. However, despite this series of negative impacts of globalization of culture, we cannot ignore the benefits that come with globalization. And we cannot overlook the many positive effects on cultural understanding, intercultural dialogue, and interconnections that comes with globalization, thanks to the rapid advancements of the technologies of information and how people interact and communicate with each other throughout the world. So if I have more time, I can go through this. So basically, globalization, on its positive side, has made it easier for the exchange of ideas, traditions, and practices between different cultures. Today, people can engage in cross-cultural interactions more frequently and more easily, leading basically to greater appreciation and understanding of diverse cultural perspectives. The second benefit of globalization is the fact that it is very important to recognize that internet and global media platforms have provided opportunities to learn about various cultures and gain new perspectives. People can access information, stories, and experiences from different parts of the world, broadening their horizons and fostering a global mindset. The third positive side of globalization is that it has served cultural innovation with the moving forward of cultural industries by encouraging the blending of different cultural influences. Today, artists, musicians, and creatives from different parts of the world and different backgrounds can collaborate and create new forms of expression, which basically results in a vibrant and dynamic global cultural scene. Globalization has also created new economic opportunities for cultural industries such as art, music, film, and tourism. Local artists and artisans can reach wider audiences, and cultural tourism can flourish, providing economic benefits to communities while preserving cultural heritage. These positive impacts of globalization on culture demonstrate how it can be used to bridge cultural gaps, break down stereotypes, and promote a sense of understanding and global interconnectedness, leading to a more diverse, inclusive, and culturally rich world. Finally, and to end on a positive note, the organization of this cultural week in Indonesia is basically one strategy among others adopted by the OIC to mitigate the effects of globalization on culture. Our goal behind organizing this event with our Indonesian brothers, colleagues, and partners is to celebrate the uniqueness of Indonesian culture. And we have seen a lot of traits and characteristics of this culture throughout our journey in Indonesia. the scenes and the performances with the Dayak people yesterday in their mainland and their tribe was simply impressive, and it shows that Indonesia is making huge efforts to preserve these local cultures and ensure their sustainability and their long-term existence among, of course, the difficult challenges that they are going through. So as I said, our goal is to celebrate the uniqueness of Indonesian culture and bring people from different backgrounds to share these moments of cultural understanding and mutual appreciation. Our objective is to allow for different cultures to showcase their richness and diversity, interact with other cultures, and celebrate common and shared human values in full respect of cultural specificities. The OIC, as a pan-Islamic organization, is working hard in this respect to multiply these kinds of gatherings to encourage positive interactions, mutual cultural meetings, and mutual respect and the celebration of shared human values, solidarity, and cultural understanding. We are working also in establishing a unified platform for the preservation of Islamic cultural heritage in OIC member states and beyond. This project seeks to reinforce OIC involvement in the protection and preservation of cultural heritage as part of the efforts geared towards keeping intact collective memories of nations and human shared experiences and cultural heritages. Last year, we organized cultural days in Uganda, in the Islamic University in Kampala city, and that event was basically amazing. And we have kept in mind, the same objective while deciding to organize this event in Indonesia, because for us, bringing people together to exchange, to connect, and to network is very important for, first of all, self-awareness and awareness of the other. If you don't know yourself, you cannot know the other. If you don't know your history, your civilization, your culture, it's become very difficult for you to cross the line and move to understanding the other cultures. So we will continue in the OIC to hold these cultural events in different parts of our old, rich, and forward-looking Muslim world. We have full trust in the potential of our young generation, and they are here today in this beautiful campus to follow our steps in promoting cultural diversity and preserving collective memories, local languages, antique arts and crafts that constitute our distinct national identities. Our overall goal is basically to empower local communities, promote positive cultural exchange, support constructive cultural policies that protect and celebrate cultural diversity. By addressing these challenges, we can strive for a more inclusive, respectful, and sustainable approach to globalization that values the richness and uniqueness of every culture. I will stop here to allow my colleagues to deliver their notes, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have after the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentations. Berhubung karena ada dua narasumber yang akan berangkat naik pesawat, Pak Deputi, kami persilahkan dulu yang. Okay, next we are going to invite Professor Dr. Kaziba Abdul Patah as the Vice Rector of Islamic University in Uganda. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would like once again to register our appreciation to you and the opportunity given to us, and I salute all the students. What I'm just requesting is that we listen very well, and I thank my brother for presenting the challenges very well. I'm not going to look at the slide per se, because that's just introducing the university, but I would like to emphasize among the issues that we have got to understand as students, you know what we call the step analysis. That is the social, the technological, the economic, the political, and the legal aspects that accompany it, and those are the challenges. The challenges center in the step analysis that we do in the environment. So as you look at what has been presented, you have got to understand that we have one aspect which I would like to dwell on, and it is the social aspect to do with the education. A challenge is something which you should have removed. It's not like a problem per se, but something which you must have removed, but you are unable to do so. Therefore, you would have worked on this, but you are unable. And if, for example, somebody gets 90 marks and you have got 50, he has challenged you, but it's not your problem. He has challenged you, but it's not your problem per se. Therefore, what do we have as challenges? The challenges have been explained by the ambassador of Nigeria to Indonesia. He has given you one of the challenges is education. Therefore, I would like to request the youth, everybody, to know that we must tackle with a lot of zeal, with a lot of enthusiasm, with a lot of determination, the issue of education. And I would like to thank the government of Indonesia and the governments all over the world that are putting a lot of money in the education of the young people. Because when you get education, you understand what is good and what is bad. Kalau dapat pendidikan yang bagus, yang cukup, bisa mengerti masalah-masalah yang kita hadapi, bisa mengerti ini jelek, ini bagus, ini halal, ini haram. Itu sangat penting. Tidak bisa dilatihan cuma untuk setuju. Harus berani bilang ini homoseksualnya jelek, enggak usah. Karena Al-Quran enggak boleh. That is the most important thing. You must have education to say no to homosexual. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. The challenge we have is looking at the other culture as good. Wherever they put it to you, you think it is admirable. You think it is good, and you think it is the best one. That is a most important, strongest challenge that we have. Therefore, jihad, the first one, is to emphasize education, and not only educating yourself, but educating your mind and understanding the issues that are in the interplay in as far as the economic situation is concerned, and so on dan sebagainya. Now, yang kedua, the second one is poverty. People are embracing culture of other people because
of poverty. Now, kemiskinan is very, very bad. It is one of the issues which is bringing people to say this is good, because some people are saying, I don't have money to go to school. I don't have money to pay for school fees. I don't have money to live a better life. And other people are giving you what they have. The issue here is you must be able to understand that you work hard. That's why I thanked the government of Indonesia that he was introducing entrepreneurship. There must be creation of employment and make sure that there is entrepreneurship that it should go on in every community so that we empower our youth and older people not to admire bad culture, the challenges of bad culture. That is very important. So we have got to understand entrepreneurship. How do you start your own business? How do you become creative? What aspects of imagination? What aspects of creativity? What aspects of invention can you put across in order to make sure that Papa, Ibu, dan saudara-saudara sekalian bisa mandiri sendiri? That one you will say, this is good culture, this is bad culture, because you have got a source of living, and therefore you are going to understand. The third aspect that we must also work on is integrity and ethics. We must live a social good life that is emphasized in the Quran. You must be the best example to be seen. You look at the students of Samarinda, very, very smart. They have put on very well. So ini seragam mereka menunjukkan bahwa kamu akan jadi orang yang tanggung jawab di masa depan, insyaAllah. So that is very important. You must become the vanguard, the propeller, the leader of your own destiny. Nobody is going to give you a destiny. You must say harus berjuang dan harus berhasil. And then finally, I would like to emphasize one important thing, that we must have unity in diversity. Don't allow the other people to come in and divide you on issues of minor importance. We must live together, and it is our motto as Muslims. We must be brothers. We must remain brothers. We must welcome other people of other faiths. We must call them to understand what is real and what is actual and what is practical in order to live a very successful life. Thank you very much. Saya itu saja yang saya bisa sampaikan. Saya mohon maaf kalau ada kekurangan. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much. It's a very inspiring presentation. Thank you, sir.
Al-Muhadir At-Tali Sayyid Dr. Umar Jah, Naib Rais Jamiah Islamiyah Teknologi di Bangladesh. Tafadhal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa sallallahu wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahabati ajma'in. Allow me first thank the university director for this warm welcoming of the guest. The topic given is about the new cultural challenges and globalism. And in my introduction, which is short, I go to the antithesis, because there's no time for the thesis. I go for the antithesis, which has an introduction and diagnosis of the challenges, as well as introduction of some solutions. And to do that, I'll just read to you the verses that have been repeatedly read, which is not an accident. Ya ayyuhan nasu, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. In that verse, there is diagnosis for our problem, as well as to introduction of the solution. Because that is a human problem, and we are part of the humanity. But then to come down, there is the second verse which says, Ya ayyuhan nasu, la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin. Now it is addressing Muslims that we should not look up to mock one another, meaning we have to respect diversity of cultures. There is another principle in which, when you look at the life of the Prophet, which are three principles, sema madafat, wal mu'ammalu ghaibun, walaka sa'atu allati anta fiha. That the past is past, and the future is unknown. Now you have to focus on your today, what we call the power of now. And I think if Muslims look at these principles, definitely they will be able to face the challenges of globalism and globalization. Having listened to many presenters, I think the first challenge we have is the definition of culture itself. What is culture? The first thing that the OIC as a fraternity, the OIC as the second largest organization, which stands for the collective voice of the Muslim. OIC then stands for an identity. OIC stands for a culture. But what is culture? The first challenge that we are facing, academically as well as socially, is what is culture? When you look at the Western societies, especially people like Max Weber, they define culture as the totality of human experience, including religion. And it is definition that we are using, and we are not supposed to use, because for them culture is human experience and religion is a part of culture. Meaning, religion is also our creation, and since religion is our creation, or their creation, we have the right to take or drop whatever we want. That is the way that the Western societies define culture. And we are also using in OIC. That is why there are a lot of challenges in terms of what culture is all about. OIC stands for a very intrinsic culture that we have to return back to. That's number one. When you come, the globalism itself is a challenge. Because when I look at the package of globalism, there are three challenges. The gentleman from the OIC mentioned a number of challenges, which he has done a very good job. I will just come to three challenges out of what we call globalism. We have to understand that globalization is the heritage of Greco-Roman heritage. And the Greco-Roman heritage, they had the society as two: the masters and the slaves. And today the Western civilization is built on the Greco-Roman heritage. So they decide people into the masters and the slaves. They look at the other people as definitely under other Muslims, other peoples as slaves, not only slaves, but people who are less significant. And this is the way that the Western people look at us. So we as Muslims, we also have to know that understanding of the West and the way that they look at us. It is about colonialism and new colonialism on us, the Greco-Roman. And that is why In 1924, when the Muslim world was chopped into pieces, we were geographically disseminated. So the first challenge is geographical fragmentation. We used to think the same. We used to think universally. We used to think Muslim. But when in 1924, when they chopped the Muslim Ummah into pieces, that's the first big challenge that the Muslims are facing, geographical fragmentation. Secondly, we have mental fragmentation. The way we think, because now go to the Muslim countries, they have different groups thinking different way. This is another challenge. The third challenge is generational challenge. How do we also raise our children? How do we raise our children? Because the Generation Z, those who were born from 1990 to 2010, and us, how do we really raise them? These are a number of challenges that are facing the OIC, and we have to know how to solve them. Globalism has been captured by Professor Ali Masrowi in a very nice sentence. He calls it hegemonic homogeneity. Hegemonic homogeneity, meaning now we are walking into one world, one very small village, but that village is hegemonic. It is only the Western culture that is hegemonic in terms of the way we dress. Today, when you look at the Islamic world, when they go, the way they dress doesn't represent most of the time, it represents the Western mode of dress. The way we think now, when you look at 80% of the intellectual production today is in English. 80% of the intellectual production is in English. So we are also subjected in terms of language, in terms of mode of dress, in terms of language, and in terms of many other things. So now then, we have a real challenges as an OIC, as a Muslim society. But the good news is that in the same verses that I read to you, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin, and in al-hikmatu dallatul mu'min, that wisdom is the law's treasure for a mu'min, and wherever they go, wherever they find it, they take it. And also the power of now. This is the solution that we have to face these challenges. Don't look back very much, but don't also be anxious to the future, but try to make sure that your today is intellectually taken care of. This is the reason why in the verses that we have read, لِتَعَارَفُوا يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَىٰ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. That لِتَعَارَفُوا, for you to know each other, is focusing on education. And that is what the gentleman, my friend from IU has just talked about. Of course, education is not just about knowledge, but it's also the knowledge that you have to practice. That is why we need education. Because when you have education, then you have to value yourself, you also have to value the others. You don't devalue anybody. That is why we need education. But not only education, but we need to be aware of the other cultures, and we will be able to take what is positive of other cultures into our culture, because the way that Western people think is what they call clash of civilization. They believe that the civilizations are clashing, but we believe as Muslims that the civilizations are intermarrying. You have to take the best out of other civilizations to feed your civilization. That's why lita'arafu is very, very important. La yaskhar qawmun min qawmin. Do not mock one another. We have different cultures in terms of the way we dress, the way we eat, but then you have to appreciate others. Because what you lack is what others have to feed you. And thirdly, the most important thing is that verse that captures everything in terms of education, which is Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, Iqra wa rabbukal akram. You see, Islam is not only a religion, but a civilization and a way of life. When Jibril came to the Prophet in that cave, he gave the Prophet 5 verses. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, Iqra wa rabbukal akram, alladhi allama bil qalam, allama al insana ma lam ya'lam. 5 verses. When you look at 2 Iqras, it is the solution for Muslims. Iqra Bismi Rabbika is addressing the religious knowledge. We have to connect to the Creator. Iqra wa Rabbukal Akram, we have to go to the physical knowledge. Because if you go for religious knowledge, Islamic revealed knowledge alone is not enough. But this is the basis. And that is why the scholars, they call it Fard Ain. They call it Fard Ain, meaning you have to connect first to your Creator. And after that, you have to go and explore the world of physics. The world of physics in terms of the physics endowed with all natural resources, then Muslims have to go into research. That's why when you look at the Islamic epistemology is very interesting. It is from birth to death, from birth to the cradle, you have to continue in research, which we are not doing. We are not investing a lot in research, which our other people are doing. That is why Iqra Bismi Rabbika, Iqra wa Rabbukal Akram, they combine both Islamic revealed knowledge as well as physics and chemistry, and this is what we have to do. So, this is why in 1971, the first conference of education in Mecca, the reason they wanted to face these challenges was to meet in Mecca in 1971 and design a roadmap. That roadmap created these universities we are talking about. Islamization of knowledge, IUM, the UIA of Malaysia, IUIU, IUT, all these Islamic universities, they came as a result of the 1971 conference because they wanted to now face the challenges I have just mentioned by the Islamization of knowledge. The schools of Islamization of knowledge have succeeded, but they still need some pushing. And that is why I think the League of Islamic Universities need to do more. We need to create association of Islamic universities to come together, because without unity, that geographical disintegration and mental disintegration, we will not be able to face it except through unifying the universities. That's why the MOUs that we are signing, we have to action them, because Islamic universities should work together to represent Iqra Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq, Iqra wa Rabbukal Akram. And I think we are doing a lot of that. To conclude, I think one of the problems that we are facing has to do with etymology, because today, even we have to draw back to the premises of the Western arguments. Many of our intelligentsia, many of the Islamic intellectuals cannot untrap themselves because they are still drawn into the conclusions of the Western argument. They draw you into the conclusions, but you have to go back to the premises of the Western argument. That is the way that universities have to go back through their curricular development, through many things, but through unity first, and through involving in research to go back to the etymology of the Islamic civilization. I have just heard people talking about Islamophobia, for example. I believe that the term Islamophobia should be recoined to mean anti-Muslims rather than Islamophobia. So they are drawing us into terminologies that even if we use, we are not going to get independence, because it is the trap of terminology. That's why we have to go back to the premises of the argument rather than focusing on the conclusions. And this is why universities coming together and engineering some new technology, linguistic technologies is also very important, because the other cultures that we are facing is really problematic. And lastly, the gentleman has just mentioned the LGBTQ. Today, intellectual hegemonic homogeneity is very much seen in the universal forcing of a new gender idea. The new idea of gender, and they are forcing the Muslim curricula into accepting that. And they're also using language into making us accepting it, because they hypnotize the Muslim mind through the terminologies, secularization of the terminologies, and we need to desecularize them and re-Islamize them if we are to stand on our ground and interact with the universe. So this is the little I have to introduce, maybe waiting for the questions, but these are the three challenges and some solutions to be answered, but all impregnated in the Islam, and that is the good news for us. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Syukran ala muhadaratkum ar-ra'i'ah.
For the next speaker, selanjutnya yaitu Bapak Profesor Dr. Haji Muhammad Asrarul Ni'am Soleh MA. Beliau adalah Deputi Bidang Pengembangan Pemuda. Dengan hormat kami persilahkan.
Tes. الصوت مسموع. Tes. All you can hear the sound, okay? The sound, okay? Especially in the second floor. Who are you, the student? Gimana kabar? Apa kabar Uinsi? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Atau coba tes di sana. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa la hawla wa la quwata illa billah. Rabbi syrah li sadri wa yassir li amri, wa hlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli wa ba'du. Hadratal kiram, Sayyidatul Wazir, His Excellency, the Minister of Sport and Youth from Libya, Sadatul Sufara, min Dual Syaqiqah, from Sudan, from Mozambique, and also from Palestine, distinguished guests, our colleagues, from Secretary General of Islamic Cooperative Youth Forum, Mr. Rasul Umarov, Faiza, my colleagues, how are you? Alhamdulillah. Dr. Abdul Alim, Dr. Umarja, and also my colleagues, Dr. Muhyiddin, and ladies and gentlemen, especially our student from Uinsi. How are you? Okay, thank you. We will talk about diversity and how to manage the diversity according to Indonesian experience. Because especially I have in the first part, but so sorry it is too late joining the meeting because of the flight from Jakarta is delayed more than 3 hours because of the fog and the weather. Diversity is sunnatullah, nature, not to be challenged, but to complement each other, to know each other, and also to strengthen one another to create brotherhood and harmony. Islam has a very, very strong ethos of respecting differences. Among these are the verses of the Quran, very, very much, especially in Surah Al-Hujurat, 13 verses. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dzakari wa untha wa ja'alnakum syu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu inna akramakum 'indallahi atqakum. Besides that, there is the important message conveyed by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the very, very important moment, namely the pilgrim of Wada, Hujjatul Wada. Now in the situation of Hajj, we remember the message, the important message from the Nabiullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in front of all the pilgrims in the Arafah. Ayyuhan nas, inna rabbakum wahid. Kullukum li Adam wa Adam min turab. Akramukum indallahi atqakum. Laisa li Arabiyyin ala ajamiyyin fadlun. illa bittaqwa. This message is very, very important. In the practical Indonesia, brotherhood, we know the concept of three ukhuwah, or three concept of ukhuwah, by the one of Islamic scholar, Kiai Haji Ahmad Siddiq. Three concept of brotherhood. Ukhuwah Islamiyah, or Islamic brotherhood, according to the word of Prophet, innamal mu'minuna ikhwah fa aslihu baina akhwaikum. Actually, we believe are brother. Second, ukhuwah wataniyah, national brotherhood. And third, ukhuwah insaniyah, or called ukhuwah bashariyah, human brotherhood. The relationship between the state and religion also regulated in Indonesian perspective on the basis of the mutually beneficial relationship, a mutualistic symbiosis, al-alaqa al-ijabiyah baina ad-din wa dawlah. The state need the religion, and also religion also needs the presence of religion. The state guarantees the freedom of the people to practice the religion in accordance with the teaching of their religion. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is very high diversity, both ethnicity, religion, language, culture, and also the custom. Indonesia is the largest archipelagic country in the world, with 17,508 islands inhabited by more than 360 ethnic groups, 718 regional language, and also 273.8 million people. Majority Muslim, Indonesia has various recognized religions. Throughout the long history, Indonesia is a nation that inherits the spirit of diversity. The Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or called unity in diversity, suggests in the book of Sutasoma by Empu Tatular. This written in the 40th century after that, AD, clearly describe the ethic and also principle of diversity owned by the nation. Now, carrying the diversity in practice, translating the commitment to maintaining togetherness, brotherhood, and also harmony, we, especially Deputy of Youth Development, the Ministry of Youth and Sport of Republic of Indonesia, continue to strive for commitment to religious moderation among youth, build a bridge of communication, create joint social project that unite various elements of youth, both the national level, regional level, and also global or international levels. In the national levels, there is an interprovincial youth exchange program we called PPAP, Program Pertukaran Pemuda Antar Provinsi, a youth leadership and also pioneering program participated by selected youth from all provinces in Indonesia. They exchange experience in social project together, living together, and also for more than a month, learn together to respect each other, share with each other, and understand each other to establish togetherness and harmony for harmony future leader. At the ASEAN level, Indonesia pioneered and become the permanent host for holding a meeting of ASEAN Youth Religious Leader. We call the ASEAN Youth Interfaith Camp, or Oic, the forum that bring together young religious leaders from each ASEAN members to build harmony and togetherness. This activity is held every year, and this year will be held in Bali. And in this occasional, we invite you to participate in this forum. At the global level, there are several youth exchange programs between countries that continue to be held regularly, such as Indonesian youth with ASEAN countries, Indonesian youth with Japan youth, Indonesia with Australia Indonesia Youth Exchange Program, and the close neighboring country to the south. Also Indonesia with China, Indonesia with South Korea, and several staff with India and Sri Lanka. Finally, to optimize the commitment to brotherhood and diversity, we propose that this forum agree on a joint forum, especially the youth of OIC member countries, to create a joint event which can be thematic in nature, which can connect and build togetherness among youth element amongst OIC members. So that Ukhuwah Islamiyah, or Islamic brotherhood, is realized in practice that mutually reinforce each other. That's all. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Thank you very much for Professor Dr. M. Asroin as Deputy of Youth Development, Ministry of Youth and Sport. I hope Mr. Professor Dr. Gaziba and Dr. Umar, because there are some agenda, I think, and the EO will. It's okay. Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to the next speaker. Fahmida Faiza, as a representative of Islamic World Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations. I'll just give you around 7 minutes. It's okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's very hard to speak at the ending after such wonderful panelists have spoken and given insight. Yes, almost before ending. Esteemed dignitaries from the Ministry of Youth and Sports of the Republic of Indonesia, ambassadors, dignitaries and high officials from the OIC and related organizations, member states, esteemed speakers and panelists, honorable guests and youth leaders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What a wonderful energy to begin with. So at the very beginning, please allow me to, if we could get to the next slide, please. Allow me to extend warmest regards from Islamic World Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, ISESCO, on behalf of our Director General, His Excellency, Dr. Salim Muhammad Al-Malik. We extend our sincerest congratulations to the Ministry of Youth and Sports of the Government of Indonesia for being the host of the OIC Cultural Activities Program for the year 2023. It is an honor to deliver this intervention, and I particularly would like to mention that I represent the organization ISESCO, not only as part of the staff and as an expert, but also the first ever cohort of ISESCO Youth Peace Ambassadors Program, which we would be sharing with you today as part of our ways of addressing those challenges and finding innovative solutions. Just a glimpse about ISESCO. ISESCO has 54 member states across 4 regions. And you can see from here that we have our programs in almost all member states. We work with the cooperation with our national commissions and the governments. Moving on to the next slide, please. ISESCO's approach is to have policy integration in academia and community together, working collectively to address the solutions, not only addressing the challenges, but finding the solutions that drives us towards the excellence. Moving on to the next slide. As I say here, probably I'm the youngest one in this panel to sit here, and I see a lot of young women in the audience. I want to share with you that the life-changing experience that ISESCO provides through the Youth Peace Ambassadors Program, which is the leadership training in peace and security. And as part of being the first ever cohort of the LTIPS program, ISESCO walks the talk. ISESCO empowers the young people, and it's very much my honor to have the Department of Youth Development of the Ministry of Indonesia to recognize the effort that ISESCO brings, and we would like to take it further with all of your kind cooperation. Moving on to the next slide. ISESCO's commitments include fostering research and innovative ideas through knowledge sharing and inclusive well-being practices that we share through our mental health guidebook, because after COVID-19 pandemic, the importance of mental health has increased. We promote harmony, tolerance, and sustainable peaceful coexistence through our programs. And we also provide training and capacity building of the civil society stakeholders, children, youth, women. And as 2023 is proclaimed as the ISESCO Year of Youth, I invite all of you to join hands with ISESCO and build a better world for the Muslim Ummah and build an Islamic world together that has a shared space for harmony and coexistence, the unity that binds all of us together. Working alongside with the universities, academias, policymakers, parliamentarians, and stakeholders, ISESCO continues to put forward collective effort in human and social capital development. Moving on to the next slide. On the best practices, we would like to highlight our work alongside the religious and community leaders, which is fundamentally important to create the sustainable coexistence. Working alongside with the policymakers, parliamentarians, and universities through the ISESCO academic chairs. We would like to highlight the ISESCO Regional Center for Culture of Peace in Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire. And our work is very well reflected at the ISESCO headquarters, where we have the exhibition and museum of the Prophet's biography and Islamic civilization. ISESCO flagships, few of them to mention, is our leadership training in peace and security that I have just mentioned, our sports for social impact initiative, mental health, child and youth protection initiative, and much more. Just to show you a little bit of the entrance of ISESCO headquarters in Rabat, Morocco, you would be greeted with this one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art ISESCO exhibition and museum, which provides the most innovative and 3D technology interactive simulations on Prophet Sirah and Islamic civilization that would open the world of cultural exchanges, knowledge sharing, and best practices. For our program with leadership training and peace and security, we have already trained 90 youth peace ambassadors, and we look forward to welcome youth peace ambassadors from Indonesia in our upcoming cohort this year. We have over 45 participating countries, and over 1,000 young leaders joining us each year, online and offline, to build a more resilient, inclusive, and peaceful future for tomorrow. Moving on, we have our Book of Peace, which reflects the Peace 360-degree approach that ISESCO takes, because what we believe that in today's culture of globalization, of peace, means not just the non-existence of war. Peace means having a peaceful solution and having an approach that invites non-violence, that prevents hate speech and violence against women, children, and all parts of the society. And that Peace 360-degree approach brings from environment to gender to sports to all the elements of the society. We bring the Peace 360-degree approach through our publication. We also have our mental health guidelines, which has been very helpful for the educationers and practitioners all around the Islamic world to promote. And we also have our Federation of Islamic Universities, FUMI, which is very well renowned to have its presence and working alongside with all the universities across the Islamic world. Our Sports for Social Impact initiative promotes the culture with sports-based initiatives, which are very important for us, and this is what you can see at a glance. Moving to the next slide, please. Just to show you a snapshot of our ISESCO marathon that promoted social cohesion. And we have had wonderful participation from people of all age groups, including people with disabilities, participating and showing what social cohesion is to promote the culture of peace and harmonious coexistence. Moving on, with our rehabilitation of vulnerable children through sports program, it has targeted 7 countries and already have been implemented in 3 countries. In Asia, it has been implemented in Malaysia, and we hope to extend this program with the cooperation from the Ministry of Youth and Sports of the Government of Indonesia. Our Women in Sports Forum provides the opportunity for all the young women out there. We know that how important it is to have well-being and sportive engagement in the Islamic world to encourage the women to be involved in sports. ISESCO has our signature flagship Women in Sports Forum. And lastly, if we could go to the next slide. Lastly, without extending it any further, I would like to request all of you, because I know all of you have internet connections on your phone, please go and visit isesco.org and get to know more about our work, because ISESCO, as the specialized organization under OIC, we remain available with the resources and the technical support to cooperate with the government of the Republic of Indonesia and also with the civil society leaders, especially the youth and women, to foster the collaboration and cooperation not only with the member states, but also for the betterment of the all Islamic Ummah, Islamic world. And it is not possible without the support of Indonesia and the involvement of Indonesia, because Indonesia is the home of the largest Muslim population in the world. So with that, we would like to thank once again and sending best regards from His Excellency Dr. Salim Muhammad Al Malik, the Director General of ISESCO, and we invite you to join us 2023 ISESCO Year of Youth, and also Marrakesh, the capital of Islamic culture, as we move forward from the OIC-CA Indonesia and envision a collective future for Islamic world and beyond. Thank you. Terima kasih. Shukran jazilan.
نستمع الآن محاضرة الأخيرة من السيد دكتور محي الدين فليتفضل.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes. Yes, how are you? This side, how are you all? Okay? Yes. And in front, apa khabar? Apa khabar? Kaifa halukum? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my dear brothers and sisters, this is an honor and a pleasure to be here taking part of this international and global activity. And of course, I'm representing International Islamic University, Malaysia, University Islam Antarabangsa, Malaysia. At the same time, Asian African Youth Government, AAYG. So, IIUM is an OIC affiliation, and we are having students from over 120 countries. 120 negara. And we have students, about 30,000 students, 30,000 pelajar in our university. AAYG is also very well known to you all. It's a global youth platform based on Bandung Agreement of Peace and Harmony. AAYG was established in 2015 in Bandung. So we have about 20 ministries, 8 special boards, 198 executive members from 22 countries in AAYG. This initiative is to foster harmony, peace, and to build today's youth for the future. As we know, we are having various types of events, activities, workshops, and other functions, cultural functions. So, responding to today's topic, let me share some of the thoughts and knowledge that we learn from the Islamic perspective. We already had many challenges, cultural challenges, and also challenges of globalization. But I'm going to highlight the reasons behind these challenges. What are the reasons why the challenges occur now, especially for Muslim youth, Muslim communities around the globe? First of all, absence of religious spirit and moralities, values. So when we talk about globalization, we saw many of the advantages and disadvantages. But if you look at the global stage, there are discrimination, there are violation of human rights and Islamophobia. Look at Myanmar, Palestine, Kashmir, Nagorno-Karabakh, many other places around the globe. Why these challenges are being faced by the Muslim communities and countries? So number one reason is absence of religious spirit, values, and moralities. Number two, if you look at the process of globalization, it's being directed, dominated by Western colonial domination and imperial interest. But the reason why Muslim Ummah, Muslim countries are facing these challenges in all the countries, all the Muslim communities. And number three reason is the leadership, loss of the leadership in all aspects of communities, even at the global stage. If you look at the knowledge, sciences, technologies, politics, economy, our ancestors, forefathers, leaders, they'll lead the nation, they'll lead the world. So we forgot our contribution, the contributions of Muslim scholars and scientists to the global development. So first of all, to take the leadership back and to lead the world, what are the responsibilities and duties? So I'm going to address these responsibilities and duties to my fellow brothers and sisters, the youth. We need to emphasize and implement the holistic method, prophetic holistic method. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لما هاجر من مكة إلى المدينة فجعل الألفة والمحبة بين أوس وخزرج وبين الأمة الإسلامية من بقاع الأرض وبين المسلمين واليهود والنصارى فجعل المدينة مدينة منورة ودولة منسجمة للوئام والسلام. So the prophetic method, holistic method, which is balanced between my practical life and akhirah, hereafter. A balanced life is the holistic life. Islamization of knowledge, Islamization in politics, Islamization in economy, Islamization in communication, Islamization in all the disciplines. But there are some issues. People are thinking that when we talk about Islamic values, prophetic methodology, is it very extreme, radical? Of course not. This is the misunderstanding. Those who are having lack of proper knowledge, Islamic knowledge, Quranic knowledge, Sharia knowledge, they think this is a radical, this is very extreme. Then how do you think when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam reconciled between two groups, tribes, Aus and Khazraj, how did he establish Medina as a bright city? He integrated people from different races, cultures, faith. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam led Jews to worship in the foyer of Masjid an-Nabawi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the toleration, that is the integration, that is the respect. So a holistic prophetic method which is derived from the divine guidelines. So when we talk about divine guidelines in Islam as Muslims, we refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sunnatullah, as the minister said, the Sunnatullah. This is very important for Muslims, young youth, to understand Sunnatullah, to understand Islamic worldviews, and to counter Western philosophies, Western worldviews, and to showcase the beauty of Islamic worldviews, to showcase the beauty of Islamic culture, Islamic civilization. See, the contributions, as I mentioned, of Ali Abu Ibn Sina in medicine. He is the founder of medicine. Khawarizmi, contribution of Khawarizmi in mathematics, Muslim. Contribution of philosopher, Imam Ghazali, Al-Farabi, Al-Rushd. There are many Islamic philosophers, scientists who contributed to the global development that lead the world, not only Muslim countries. So number one, we youth should disseminate knowledge, seek knowledge, and Islamization of knowledge, the concept we should understand very well. we should not have any misconception of Islamization of knowledge. And the history, if I ask a youth, do you know about the Muslim history of Al-Khulafa Rashidun Al-Arba'a? How did they lead the war? How did Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu establish peace and harmony? How did he lead the half of the war? Umayyad Khilafah, Abbasid Khilafah, Ottoman Empire, they lead the war based on the Islamic principles, values, because we are belong to Sunnatullah. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, "Bu'ithtu li'utammima makarim al-akhlaq." I have been sent to accomplish the good morals. What are the good morals? That is the Sharia, that is the ethics, that is the values. That is how did Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam establish Medina as Medina al-Munawwara. So he integrated, as I told you, between people. And those who are talking about the human rights, violation of human rights, the first person in the history of human beings who established, ensured fundamental human rights is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He fulfilled the rights of other religious people in Medina. He ensured the fundamental human rights in Medina, basic needs of people, and he established justice. That's why I am saying that we should go back to divine guidelines, and we should practice the prophetic methodologies of integration and peace and harmony. History we should not forget. Even in Indonesia, when you are an Indonesian, you should know all the history of Indonesia. East Kalimantan, history of Jakarta, history of Bandung, history of Aceh, all the Muslim countries. If you would like to be a leader, so Muslims, we forgot the history, we do not study well, we do not study Islamic studies, histories and other knowledges. So, number 2 is the integration and respect of other cultures. There are some misconceptions of integration of culture. Islam doesn't say to accept other cultures which is contradict with the Sharia, which is contradict with the Sharia values, Islamic values. But Islam says to respect, Islam says to tolerate. Respecting other cultures, toleration of other cultures is not accepting those cultures. So we should respect. This is how Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did in Medina. Number 3 is when we are studying in any Islamic universities, sometimes students think to know only tafsir, hadith, fiqh, sharia, because I'm a student of sharia. I should not know about the politics, diplomacy, and other things. Let me tell you, the first diplomatic letter was issued by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the human history. First ambassador in the history of human history was sent by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mu'adh ibn Jabal ila al-Yaman. So why are we very weak in diplomatic approaches, diplomatic relations? So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a leader. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an imam. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a judge. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a social reformer. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a friend of all religious people. This is why Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam reformed the society. He alleviated, he removed the darkness, he removed the discord, enmities from the Medina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. He was sent to purify the hearts of the people, to purify the people, to reform the society. Reformation of the society, purification of hearts of individuals, which will lead to purify the community and society. That's very important. So let's be leaders. Let's be imam, ai Let's be social reformers. Let's be friends of other religious followers. So Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam model is the divine oriented and holistic model of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Lastly, when we integrate and the activities, events, and programs we are conducting in different parts of the world, like OIC, ICYF, ICISCO, and many other global organizations, you can say the globalization concept is a kind of failure to ensure peace and harmony, because they do not have sense of responsibility towards others. We should have sense of responsibility. That's why we are talking about ummatic brotherhood. Allah mentioned in the verse, Surah Al-Hujurat 13, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. In this verse, Allah did not mention Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O believers. Allah did not mention Ya ayyuhal ummah al-islamiyah, O ummah al-islamiyah. Allah mentioned, O people, you should know each other. So this verse directs us to have responsibility, sense of responsibility toward others. So this is the last, I just finished. So this is the message of Islam. Let's learn more, let's have knowledge, Islamic knowledge and knowledge of other disciplines, and practice prophetic methods which is not contradict to other religions and societies. We are having a moderate, holistic, balanced, prophetic message and method. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much for the presenters. Okay, thanks to all the speaker and presentations. Next, we will come to the discussion sessions. We just give opportunity one or two questioners from the right side and the left side of the stage. And I hope for the questioners, please raise your hand and mention your name and the questions and address. Anybody? Okay. Any else? Any other ones for the girls? Yeah, please.
Cek, cek. Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, my name is Muhammad Andriansyah, and my question to Dr. Al-Husin. So the first, I would like to say that your material is very interesting, and I believe that when we want to learn about culture, because the culture come and cross culture because the social media you said before, and then I believe and I agree that social media is one of the thing that make the culture come into the others or into the around world. And my question is, what are the most challenge in Islamic society and culture, especially in this era in globalization? So what is the sign or the important thing and the challenge by culture in Islamic? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to the next questioners. Please mention your name.
Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I would like to thank you for giving me time, the opportunities to ask the question for the last speaker, Ms. Famida Faiza, as a ICESCO representative. So, we know ICESCO is an Islamic organization engaged in education, science, and culture. In terms of its objective, ICESCO has a role of uniting cooperation between member countries and uniting understanding other peoples inside and outside members countries. So, what initiative or programs has ICESCO implemented to promote interfaith dialogue and understanding among people of different religion and culture? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the last questioners from
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Usman Oga is my name, ambassador of Nigeria to Indonesia. I want to thank all the presenters and our good students here who are the future of the world. I have listened to very incisive presentations. One, that globalization is like a fait accompli. We cannot do anything, it has come and it's there. Well, for now it is here, so we have to face it. But I know, like empires have come and gone, globalization may take a different shape in the course of time. But because we are now living in, now proposals have been made, Islamization of knowledge. And I quite agree, and I did make allusion to this when I was speaking earlier. We know there is Islamic economic system, Islamic political system, social system, philosophy, what have you. Our problem will now be implementation, because we are being challenged seriously. As the presenter said, a dominant culture is trying to swallow smaller culture. So what do is a mind game. To Islamize these subjects meant that we have to capture the minds of our children, which will necessarily start from home, which is the first educational institution for every one of us. Your idea of what is wrong and right even starts from your home. Every child knows that he cannot wear, for instance, the man knows he cannot wear earring, he cannot plait his head, he cannot wear women's dress, right from when he starts knowing his environment. This is the kind of thing that now we'll have to look at it, introduce in our homes and in our school curriculum. Unfortunately, most of our curriculums are being dictated, being verified, being modified, and we accept it without saying anything. So if we keep talking about we want an Islamic culture to go side by side with whether it's globalization or other civilizations, it means that we also have to address the minds, because social media influences is addressing the minds of younger children and is capturing them much more than it will capture an adult. And once these children get educated from early childhood, it sticks to their knowledge that before a conflict of another civilization comes to swallow them, it will be a hard task. But let me say this, is fact that most leadership that we have do not have the political will to really face it up and say, the Islamic civilization is best for me, best for my nation, and is going to carry us to the manifest destiny. The reason is that, well, the dominant culture, as has been said, more powerful in terms of knowledge. The knowledge is because all of us have been imperialized. We are all political scientists in the Western education. We're all engineers in Western engineering. We're all sociologists. We're all everything in Western culture. So even me talking to you, for instance, I'm a political scientist. And I'm told that the best form of government is democracy, for instance. These were concepts, these were theories relevant to the society in which Aristotle and whoever grew in it, not relevant to where I grew in it.
I'm so sorry, so would you like to give the point of the questions and for the speakers?
So, I am trying to make a contribution. I'm finally agreeing with all presentations that there is need for implementation, which will start from the basic homes and addressing the minds of the future of the world. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I think for the 3 questions, the first questions from Muhammad Ardiansa, that's what are the most significant cultural challenges faced by Islamic society and cultures in the era of globalizations? And the question to Hussein.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Muhammad, for your interesting question. Actually, throughout my presentation, I've been talking about the different new challenges to Islamic culture that comes with this wave of globalization. There are a lot of challenges to our Islamic world, the least of which is Westernization, the endeavors to standardize the culture and make it a standard culture, that follows the Western pattern of how the world is seen. But there are also other challenges to our Islamic cultures, namely identity challenges. First of all, if you want to cope with this world, with all these challenges and with all the rapid developments that are taking place in almost every field, we have to ask the basic question, who we are. Because to my sense, culture is like a car. When you are driving a car, you have the front mirrors and the rear mirrors. If the rear mirror shows you where you come from, and the front mirror shows you where you are going. So if you don't have an idea about where you come from, where is your origin, who are your ancestors, what's your basic education, what's your basic beliefs, you will not be able to move forward with a clear-sightedness, so to speak. So we have to know that before we identify ourselves as Moroccans or Indonesians or Bengalis or Indians, we are first of all Muslims. And we have to go back to the sources at some point and learn about our culture, about civilization, about values, so that we can cope with all these challenges that are coming from different fronts. One of our colleagues talks about Islamophobia, for example, and the different attempts at our religion. If we are not capable, first of all, of understanding our norms, our values, and our Islam, we will not be able to defend it. And this is why, as I said, we have to know who we are, where we come from, to be able to move forward with trust, with confidence, and with more potential to cope with the different challenges that are facing the Muslim Ummah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hussein. Give applause for Hussein's answers. So we are going to the next questions from Nadia Salsabila. Nadia Salsabila to Fahmida Faizas. The question is, what the initiative or program has ISESCO implemented in this dialogue and understanding among the people, different faiths and cultures?
Thank you for the question. And I would like to begin by saying that as a specialized organization, ISESCO is very well equipped to provide the technical support, to encourage on the capacity building, and also to facilitate with the member states through our national commissions to work on these areas, building cultural progress, building harmony, building peace. As we have already shared, that we work at 3 levels. We work at academia level. At academia level, we have ISESCO research chairs, through which, and also we have FUMI, the Federation of the Islamic Universities of the World. So at the academia level, we operate through that cooperation mechanism. At our program level, at technical level, we have our Center for Civilizational Dialogue at ISESCO. We have sectors such as Human and Social Sciences sector, which has cross-cutting agendas of working across different areas. And we also have our programs which promote the culture of peace, such as Agriculture for Peace, which has been a tremendous success in sub-Saharan Africa, where we have seen that food security being a challenge towards having a peaceful future and attaining such a peaceful coexistence. So through our programs, at the civil society level, and lastly, through our partners in capacity building, that is one of our other areas of cooperation, and we provide technical support as to that. Our partners includes the member states, our 54 member states, and our observers, of course. But more importantly, the visionary leadership of the Director General, His Excellency Dr. Salim Muhammad Al Malik, it has widened ISISCO scopes, not just to Islamic countries, but to the Islamic world, which promotes further cooperation of all the relevant stakeholders, even at the private level, to join hands and help us to progress the specialized work of ISISCO. So just to summarize, some of our training and capacity building has been on the areas of artificial intelligence, science and technology. In the area of culture, we have also training dedicated for the archaeologists. For every part of the society, ISISCO has something to offer. Lastly, I would just like to share that it's not enough to do the work in isolation. We need everyone to build a collective progress. And we are very grateful to other, of course, to OIC as the umbrella organization, but also the OIC subsidiary organs like ICTT, who has provided us the support and collaboration through our programs. And also we look forward to having further commitment, not only from the member states and the ownership from countries like Indonesia, who are important stakeholder in the process, but also everyone who is here in this room to join us and take a collective action, because ISISCO is ready as ever to help, support, and facilitate in any capacity to strengthen the voice of Islamic world and beyond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We give a time for Muhyiddin, a minute, to give the comment from the third questioners.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum again. His Excellency mentioned about the Islamization of knowledge and the implementation. I just would like to say that the key vision of Islamization of knowledge is the welfare of people for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I would like to recommend some books and articles written by prominent Islamic scholars, Sayyid Naqib al-Attas, Sheikh Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman from Saudi Arabia, and Ismail Faruqi from US, Dr. Ahmad Tutunji is from Saudi and US, and they are the founders of the Islamization of knowledge. So in their books, you may find some of the structures of the implementation of this concept of Islamization. And another book is written by the ISISCO, previous Director General Sayyid Abdulaziz At-Tuijiri. He has written a book on Islamic international relations, diplomatic affairs from the Islamic perspective. So in this book as well, we may find some of the recommendations and also methods of the implementation of Islamic concept in politics, in economics. And if you talk about the Islamic economy now, there are many institutions, universities are working very hard. IIUM, Arisra in Malaysia, INSIF, and also now we are having Islamic banking and finance system in Korea, in Canada, Australia, even Netherlands, in US. And Malaysia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain are the key countries, Saudi Arabia. And we are having now in Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh. The Islamic banking system is the very strong banking system. So now it's growing rapidly globally. So I think we should have more initiatives, and the youth, young generation should come forward having knowledge and to take the charge of implementation from the home to community, state level, national level, and international level. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give big applause for the older presenters. And then I would like to say thank you to all the speakers and the audience who have asked. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finished the discussion session in this panel. Before ending this panel, let us make some conclusions apart. The discussion about the culture will continue to develop because almost the countries in the world have not homogeneous population, but heterogeneous cultures, ethnic, racial, religious diversity is found in the nation around the world. We also say thanks all the speakers and apologize for if you have any mistake. And I think that's all for this session, panel session. Thank you very much. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thariq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And back to the master of ceremony.
Thank you for all the speakers and also the moderators. All the speakers, please stay on stage, and I kindly invite to Vice Rector 1, Professor Muhammad Nasir, to give the merchandise and get the photo session.
Kenapa? Bebas aja.
Thank you. Terima kasih. Untuk selanjutnya sesi penyerahan cenderamata akan diberikan oleh pihak Kementerian Pemuda dan Olahraga Profesor Dr. Asrorun Niam Soleh kepada Dr. Al-Husin Razui, dan Uinsi Samarinda akan diwakili oleh Ketua Panitia. Terima kasih. Untuk selanjutnya, sesi penyerahan cenderamata dari pihak Kementerian Pemuda dan Olahraga, Profesor Dr. Asrorun Niam Soleh kepada Dr. Al-Husin Razui, dan untuk selanjutnya kami persilahkan dengan hormat kepada Profesor Dr. Asrorun Niam Soleh untuk memberikan cenderamata kepada Uinsi Samarinda yang dalam hal ini akan diwakili oleh Ketua Panitia Bapak Dr. Umar Fauzan. Penyerahan cenderamata selanjutnya kami persilahkan kepada Bapak Dr. Insinyur Hendro Wicaksono, Asisten Deputi Kewirausahaan Pemuda Kementerian Pemuda dan Olahraga Republik Indonesia, kepada Dr. Muhyiddin Mahi. Kami persilahkan. Dan penyerahan cenderamata terakhir kami berikan kesempatan kepada Bapak Beni Pramula Advisor Oic Youth Indonesia, kepada Mrs. Fahmida Faiza. Thank you, and please have a seat. Thank you, and please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of this ceremony. To close this event, let's recite Hamdalah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Well, I'm Rega Armila.
Muhammad Ihsanuddin Masdar.
as Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much for your coming and your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد.
Kepada seluruh hadirin, mahasiswa, Bapak Ibu semuanya, kita akan lanjutkan dengan kuliah umum. Kita jeda 30 menit, insya Allah kita akan isi dengan isoma. Yang belum sholat, dan makan, dan kita ikuti hiburan. 15 menit jeda, kemudian kita akan lanjutkan dengan kuliah umum. Untuk seluruh mahasiswa KKN, untuk bertahan dan nanti pindah ke lantai 1. Ormawa juga dipertahankan seluruh panitia untuk ikut ke lantai 1 semuanya. Dan yang bertugas ke perpustakaan untuk siap-siap menerima tamu kunjungan ke perpustakaan. Terima kasih.
Alhamdulillah wa syukru lillah. Alhamdulillah wa syukru lillah. Azka salati wa salami li Rasulillah. أزكى صلاتي وسلامي لرسول الله. الحمد لله والشكر لله. الحمد لله والشكر لله. أزكى صلاتي وسلامي برسول الله. أزكى صلاتي وسلامي برسول الله. صلي وسلم الله على المعلم الله. صلي وسلم الله على المعلم الله. صلي وسلم على المعلم. صلي وسلم على المعلم. أحمد محمد يا سيدي خير البرية. أحمد محمد